Hello and welcome everyone to the climate crisis panel discussion. This is Ms. Iqbal with my teammates Atia Khan, Hamzariya Sima, Laiba Khalid, and Ali Aftab. And today we have our guest speaker, Mr. Owais Iqbal Khan, who is an environmentalist and climatologist. He delivers several lectures on heat waves and urban heat island effects through the perspective of climate crisis. Now, firstly, Mr. Ali Aftab put forward his question on climate crisis. Over to you, Ali.
Thank you, Ms. Sir, what change in the natural ecosystem are caused by the ongoing global warming?
Okay, so the global warming is actually one of the most recent phenomena, but it is the phenomena which has been enhanced by the anthropogenic activities. Now, the problem is that the ecosystem itself is being damaged by the over emission of the greenhouse gases through vehicles, through industries, because of which the ecosystem itself is becoming imbalanced. And that is what we have seen in the conference of the parties 27 of the United Nations, that the ecosystem is getting severely imbalanced. And because of this imbalance, what will happen is that it will impact all of us, since it is linked to our food security and water security.
Sir, my second question is effect of climate change. How is climate change affecting Pakistan?
Okay. So what is happening is that the climate change is, yes, I can hear you. The climate change is actually a natural process. And this is actually proven through the Milankovitch theory, that because of our Earth's orbit and our Earth's tilt, over a certain period of time, the climate actually changes. And the climate is actually based upon 30 years period of the weather. It is not a day-to-day weather. It is actually 30 years period of the weather, which have the weather patterns which have come through which we can actually understand the climate change. Now, what is happening here is actually accelerated climate change. Now, what is accelerated climate change? That the climate change, which was supposed to take place after 30 years or after 50 years, is now taking place within 5 or 10 years. This means that now we have accelerated that process, that natural process, into a very dangerous, with a very dangerous levels. So in the climate change effect in Pakistan mostly will be based on the rainfalls and the unpredictability of the rains. Because one thing you need to understand, and that is that if the rainfall or the rain pattern system is being, which we cannot understand it, still, and it will continue to, the rainfall pattern will continue to change for the several other years as well. So it will harm our food, it will harm our agriculture, and ultimately, if we are unplanned towards it, the Pakistan will face more disastrous consequences. So this is something which we need to take into account for the Pakistan, that the flash floods is one of the things, but the other thing is the food security, which is being grossly damaged. And we need to protect our food security first through the water security as well.
Now, Asia Khan, I think you have the questions. Please, Miss Asia Khan, please open your mic if you have any question. I think some other participants should take his or her questions.
My question is that what you think, which sphere of Earth causes the more in climate change or global warming, like troposphere, mesosphere, stratosphere, or ionosphere?
Well, all the spheres are actually important, but the main thing is that it is the two spheres which we are linked with together. The one is the troposphere, which is the immediate connection with us, which we can see the clouds and everything. And the second, the most important sphere is the stratosphere, because stratosphere is actually linked with the ozone layer. So if the ozone layer is damaged through the chemicals, or through chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, and other chemicals, recently, even in the conference of the parties 27 of the United Nations in Egypt, they also discussed that the nitrous oxide is being increased, and this is being the third most greenhouse gas, which has been increased over 100 to 200% since the pre-industrial period. Pre-industrial period means before industrial revolution and after industrial revolution. So this is actually something which is quite alarming, because nitrogen itself can actually bind with the ozone layer, the ozone oxygen, and can actually deplete the ozone layer. And if the ozone layer is further depleted, we will see more skin cancers, we will see more damage to the crops, and there will be more global warming because of it.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And my next question is, what do you think, how impactful is planting trees
Okay. So
in mitigating problem of climate change and global warming?
Okay, so planting trees is actually quite important, because what happens is that once we have planted a tree, it is actually what it's doing is it's taking the carbon dioxide from the air, and it's actually converting it into energy or into the food stuff which we actually consume. So a plant itself is actually a producer, and without the trees and without the plants, there will be no ecosystem. There will be no animals, and there will be no primary consumers, secondary consumers, or even food available for the humans. So the plants are actually one of the most basic things which we need to protect, and which we need to elevate. So in the climate change, what will happen is that if we are going to elevate the tree levels, so it can mitigate the other carbon dioxide levels, which are up to 146% as of this September 2022, compared with the pre-industrial era. So it means that if we are not planting enough trees, we will not bring down that carbon dioxide level. And if that carbon dioxide level is not going to be brought down, what will eventually happen is that carbon dioxide will, what is the source? The source is actually vehicles. What will happen is that ultimately that carbon dioxide will go towards the seawater, and it will start to cause acidification process in the sea. And if the pH levels of the sea drops, it will actually hamper, and it will actually destroy the fishes and the marine ecosystem.
So, sir, my question is how the 27th Conference of Parties, commonly known as COP27, that takes place in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, earlier this week, will going to bring change in tackling climate crisis?
Well, the climate crisis change in Pakistan, basically, Pakistan is not producing that much amount of pollutants, air pollutants, than compared with the developed nations. And by developed nations, I'm also talking about the United States of America. I'm also talking about other European countries which are having more industries than Pakistan. Pakistan is actually behind its carbon footprint. Pakistan is actually the sufferer of the other countries' carbon footprint, which is causing damage to Pakistan. That is one of the major issues which is being caused here. And because of our our neighbor India, it is actually one of their faults as well, because India is a very big country and it is having a lot of people. So whenever there is any air pollution, or whenever their industries in the India are working, so there is a transboundary pollution, transboundary air pollution. That means the air pollution from India is actually coming towards Pakistan. And similarly, in the same way, the air pollution caused by the China is also coming towards Pakistan. So it is one of those things that this is actually causing a greater climate upset for Pakistanis, because we are having a very low air breeze. If you can see the the air speed, the wind speed is actually not a lot compared with the other countries of the Los Angeles or any other Western countries, where you can see that their wind power or their wind energy is quite a lot. So because of this, the chemicals in Pakistan usually stay here. because there's low pressure and we are already semi-arid country. So this is going to cause a lot more damage in climate change situation. Now, what can COP27 can do is actually, they can actually give you a global overview. They cannot actually implement anything. They have given the global overview that what is happening in the globe, and now it is up to us to actually take action. And by us, it means the authority, which is actually quite important.
So all these things that we have described is actually the causes. So my next question is, what kind of climate change adaptation you might think Pakistan would take after this UN COP27 summit?
One of the important climate change adaptations which Pakistan needs to take is that Pakistan needs to come out of this notion that dams are quite important. Dams are actually ecological disaster. Dams at a minor level are very good, but at a larger level, the dams are actually quite disastrous to environment, and to the it actually causes the ecological fragmentation. So what is important is that we should actually be building the artificial lakes, artificial reservoirs, and even trying to manipulate the water, the rainwater, into conserving the rainwater and using the rainwater harvesting systems, or even collecting that rainwater and putting them, trying to put them into the underground water to replenish the underground water or underground aquifers. That is the one thing which we need to do. Second is that we need the biotechnological side to actually work, harder to actually come up with the proper solutions for the seeds which we are having, that they can actually survive excessive heat or any excessive temperature fluctuations. Because the temperature fluctuation from heat, from too hot to too cold is now very frequent, and this can actually cause the agriculture to become, it can actually make the agriculture go bad. There would be conditions where the agricultural produce will be very less. So we need to make sure that the greenhouse system is established. The greenhouse system is a system where they can actually use a greenhouse to manipulate the water and manipulate even air. And that is one of those things which the Singapore and other developed nations are actually doing in order to produce their own food.
Sir, how do we as individuals play our part in mitigating the current climate?
Yeah, so my question is, what is TNC doing about climate change?
Yeah, so the Conservancy, Nature Conservancy Club is actually doing quite a lot. They are actually trying to make sure that the people are aware, and these sorts of the non-governmental NGOs like WWF and even others, which are trying to make sure that they can create awareness amongst the people, is very important. Because there's a type of a mentality in not just in Pakistanis but in the whole world, that that we are very impulsive, that we take action first, and then whenever there's a repercussion because of that action, then we think that what we have done, we should haven't done that specific thing. So these kind of awareness campaigns are quite important, so that we can stop the impulsive actions and try to make sure that we are able to mitigate whatever the accelerated climate change is taking place.
Another question is, why we must urgently act on climate change, and how much time do we have to stop this climate change?
We don't have any time to stop the climate change. The climate change is actually taking place right now at this very moment. What we do have is that we can actually try to take the steps right now, so that our future generations can actually survive on this earth. Because if we are unable to stop the emission levels of the carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, so if we are unable to do them, we are unable to stop them, ultimately what will happen is that our generations will suffer more, and they will have to, it will be very hard for them to actually, get food, even get water, and they will be living in the constant change and abrupt change of the weather, which will be very tough for the humans to live in. So it is quite important that we take action now, because climate change is already taking place. Now, whatever actions we are going to take today, it will impact after 20 to 30 years. And the levels which we have emitted right now, they're not going to go away in 1 or 2 days. It will take years for the greenhouse gases levels to come down towards the normal level.
Can I ask Asia's question?
Yes, you can.
Okay, sir, how we as individual play our part in mitigating the climate change crisis?
As an individual, it is quite important to be literate about environment and literate about whatever is happening in the climate. And it is not something that just we have to listen towards from the TV, but we have to also make an effort. And that effort is that we should make sure that we are not excessively wasting any water. We are not actually using cars when we can carpool. That means that 2 or 3 people can actually ride a car to go towards work, or can use the public transportation if it is feasible for them. Or even if it is not, then carpooling is something which we can actually do to actually mitigate the emission levels. So this individualism or individualistic work is actually something if we do it, then maybe others will copy us, because this is a psychological trait in humans that we actually copy other people. So if you are doing it, there is something that the other person will copy you, and then other person will copy you. And maybe because of that one person, the whole society might change.
Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Thank you.